Welcome to the Advent Saga training module, where you, the player, will take control of an Advent to lead your forces in the ongoing war between the United Galactic Command and the Soltarian Collective. In the following training videos, you will learn all the basics needed to jump right into battle and cement your legacy in the Advent Saga universe. To achieve victory in a game of Advent Saga, you must reduce your opponent's morale to 0. Your morale can be found on the bottom center of your Advent card. Generally, you can reduce an opponent's morale by attacking your opponent's Armada, or even their Advent directly. There are other methods to depleting morale as well. When a player has run out of cards in his or her deck, that player will lose 2 morale for each card that he or she cannot draw. A player may also regain morale through use of various cards and abilities, so long as it does not surpass the Advent's original morale total. In Advent Saga, there are a number of card types represented by various symbols. Advents are the deck commanders. Armada are soldiers that you may deploy, maneuver, and attack across the battleground to reduce your opponent's morale. Gear are supplemental weaponry and enhancements. Tactics are instant use directives that can give you a quick advantage during the game. The next set of lessons will detail what each of these card types do, as well as their importance. A combination of strong armada, devastating weaponry, and strategy is your key to victory in Advent Saga. It's best if you know how to utilize all of these tools to your advantage. At the beginning of the game, the players will select one Advent to act as the commander of their deck and place it face up. When looking at an Advent card, there are 3 things to take note of: its morale, its abilities, and its resource affinity. We've already gone over morale, so let's move on to abilities. Advents come with a mix of static, triggered, and activated abilities to aid in deck creation and support. In this case, Praxor's abilities focus on saving useful Armada and redeploying them in a pinch. Lastly, your Advent can be exhausted to generate 1 resource of the affinity it represents. While Praxor can only generate Cryonite ore when exhausted, there are other dual resource Advents that have extra options when exhausted. All cards, aside from the Advent, come with a resource cost. During your turn, you may play as many cards as your resources will allow. A card's resource cost represents the number of cards in a player's resource area that must be exhausted to play that card. When a specific resource affinity is listed, a card with that affinity must be exhausted to meet the cost. The gray symbol with a number in it is a non-specific cost. Any card in the resource area may be exhausted to meet a non-specific cost. We'll review how you can get cards in your resource area in a later lesson. For now, let's go over the other card types. Armada are units that you will use to maneuver and attack across the battleground. Each Armada comes with a set of stats, a resource cost, and usually a set of abilities. Now let's take a look at the Armada stats. These are displayed as follows. First is attack, the amount of damage the Armada inflicts when attacking an opponent. Second, your Armada's defense is the amount of damage it can take in a single turn before being destroyed. Third, your Armada's range is the number of spaces it can successfully attack a target from. Lastly, Armada cards typically come equipped with abilities or keyword enhancements that can be used while in play. Keyword enhancements are usually permanent and activate when their conditions are met. Abilities can trigger either when conditions are met or when a player exhausts the appropriate cards in the resource area to activate it. What would a soldier be without equipment? Gear cards come in 2 forms: accent and support. Accent gears attach to one of your in-play Armada, granting it enhanced stats and possibly extra abilities. When an Armada attached to an accent gear is destroyed, the accent gear is also destroyed. Support gears are placed into the armory section when put in play. A support gear will remain in play until its effect resolves and it is sent elsewhere. Typically, support gears will have an effect when coming into play as well as leaving play. Tactics are instant use cards that are played directly from the hand. Tactics can only be activated during the strategy phase and enter your resource area after they resolve. However, tactics with the override property can be played at any time and are sent to the discard pile after resolving. As previously discussed, non-override tactics go into your resource area, but there's another method that will provide you with additional resources. At the beginning of your turn, during your production phase, You may send the top card of your deck to the resource area. You may not look at this card before choosing to produce a resource with it. Like your Advent, any card in the resource area may be exhausted to produce one resource of its affinity. For example, Rebel Immolator may be exhausted to produce one Psionic or Rage resource. Once a resource card is exhausted, it may not produce additional resources until it is refreshed.